What's going on, Reject Nation? We're gonna watch today from a channel called The Things. 15 Spider-Man improvised scenes you thought were real. Now, when it comes to reacting to these list videos, I want to try something a little different. You know, that thing that reactors sometimes do where they pause to stop to talk about things. Now, we usually let the whole thing play in its entirety for like 10 to 20 minutes and then talk afterwards. But I want to try it out. I know there are some people who just automatically hate change. I want to just see how it is for us. It'll be different for us too.
Yeah, we'll learn and grow together.
Yeah.
And feel the joy.
Sometimes unscripted moments breathe more life into a scene.
The adults are talking.
And other times they
I'm so sorry.
fall short. Luckily in the MCU, the improvisation gene is impeccably strong amongst its actors. So in this video, we're taking you through all of Spider-Man's unscripted moments that completely took the films to another level.
Okay, let's talk about this.
That's so much to break down already.
Action. We all know Tony Stark isn't one to get himself caught up in emotional moments.
I heard about
and
this.
In Spider-Man Homecoming, Peter Parker learned that in a pretty awkward way. After Tony Stark has a talk with Peter in his car, he reaches over to open the car door. But Peter thinks he's actually leaning in for a hug. Remember?
That's not a hug, I'm just grabbing the door for you.
Well, check out what Tom Holland had to say about the scene.
Well, that was actually an improvised moment. I think I just tried to hug him. I just thought it would be funny if I hugged him and...
The hilarious moment was completely improvised for laughs, but Robert Downy Jr. went along with it. Speaking about Tony Stark.
Whoa, already? Damn!
Tony and Peter scene.
That is an iconic scene. That is so funny.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy how much, I thought this was all gonna be like Tom Holland stuff, but it's just so funny to see how much Robert Downy Jr. himself.
Yeah.
Even the I am Iron Man line.
Yeah.
Which I don't think would be on this list.
He improvised all his lines as Tony Stark.
Every line has ever been improvised.
Yeah, man.
That's great. That's such a... What made that moment so funny, too, is not just Tony Stark's delivery, Robert Downy Jr. So what made it so funny was Tom Holland's reaction.
Absolutely.
Of how he really thought he was getting... That's what made it so uncomfortably funny.
It feels so real. It feels absolutely natural.
Damn.
And it was. For all intents and purposes.
That is gold. That is gold.
Absolutely.
In his emotions. During the final moments of Avengers Infinity War, he was nothing but emotional. Same Mr. Stark. As Spider-Man turned into nothingness in his arms, we were all a puddle of tears when he desperately chants,
I don't want to go. I don't want to go. Sir, please. Please, I don't want to go.
That was all Tom Holland again. The director gave him free rein on the death scene, and Tom delivered. Even if he doesn't think it was that spectacular himself.
I don't want to go 3 times in a row. So it's not that amazing of an ad-lib.
It's hard to believe Spider-Man is one of Tom's first big roles. Tom Holland and Zendaya's chemistry is off the charts. Peter Parker and MJ are like magic on screen together, and a lot of that is thanks to the actors' off-screen friendship. According to Zendaya, Tom has a habit of deviating from the script, but thankfully they're so in tune with one another that she was able to respond right back, no matter how annoyed she was.
He just kept improving. He just did not stick to the script. He was trying to throw me off.
What's your favorite Peter and MJ scene?
She knows. I told her.
He didn't tell me. I figured it out.
If there's one thing better
They don't tell us.
Peter and MJ
Yeah,
They're just all
MJ
improvised.
and Ned interact with one another. But the truth is, a lot of the time we're watching their off-screen relationships shine through the camera. Remember in Spider-Man Far From Home, Ned walks in on MJ and Peter while he's changing into his Spider-Man
This
suit?
happened in real life.
Costume looks great for the costume party.
Well, Ned wasn't in on the fact that MJ had found out their secret and tried to play it off. Ned's actor, Jacob Batalon, actually said that was one of his favorite scenes to shoot because he got to improv all his comments. There was a lot of laughter on set that day. We have to give Jake
That's
Gyllenhaal
cool.
credit
That's
for
really
playing
cool.
such a convincing role as Mysterio. Who knew that he would actually turn out as a villain in the end? But it looks like we should be praising Jake for more than just his impeccable acting skills. According to the actor, he and director John Watts came up with a lot of unscripted moments for his character that ended up in the film. We don't know what specific scenes these moments are in, but let's just appreciate Mysterio for a sec.
Somebody get this stupid costume off me!
Having Aunt May be played by a younger actress in the Marvel Universe gave
Improvised
us
a
a whole
shot
other
at the
perspective on her
wardrobe, T.
relationship with Peter. It's so comforting to see the two of them interact on screen. But you'll be shocked to find out that a lot of their scenes were unscripted as well. One specific improvised moment in Spider-Man Homecoming happened while they're eating in the Thai restaurant.
many times do I have to say larb before you talk to me? No, I larb you.
Their conversation was just something the actor made up on the fly with some guidance from the director. Yet again, we have another improvised
So
moment
all the
between
relationships
Peter Parker
are
and
built
Tony
on
Stark.
improv.
This time, it's in Captain America: Civil War. Check it out.
I'm gonna sit here so you move the leg.
Tony Stark telling Peter to move over might seem like it was in character, and it is. But it was also Robert Downy Jr.'s way of telling Tom Holland to scoot over onto his set marker without ruining the entire take. Funnily enough, it ended up in the final cut.
Can you even see in these?
Yes, yes, I can. Look, I can.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Look, I don't want to just only pause it on the Tony Stark moments.
Yeah, but they are substantial.
But I've seen that happen many, many times, actually, on like during plays, and of course when I'm like shadowing a set or something like that, when you have an actor who's just trying to help another actor who might be nervous or might be making a mistake, and they'll improvise to guide them to get them back on track. And that's just a sign of what makes Robert Downy Jr. the professional actor that he is, because he's still keeping it like within the moment. He's keeping it so lived in, because honestly, it's the little nuances. It's the littlest lines like that. Like, okay, Marissa Tomei's "I larb you" line it's a funny line. Those are all funny. We don't know the specifics of like what Jake Gyllenhaal improvised, and I like the encouragement of actors being able to go unscripted. Yeah. But those tiniest bits of lines make a character feel and a scene feel that much more lived in, and it says so much more about the dynamics of those characters. Like Tom Holland couldn't say something like that to Robert Downy Jr., but Robert Downy Jr. could say something like that to him in a moment like that, you know?
Absolutely, and I thought what they were initially getting at was just like, oh yeah, it's just something he threw into the scene, and then the fact that it's also, serving that purpose of, it's like actor generosity. It's like within the moment, without breaking, what could be a great take, which wound up being the used take, that he had the presence of mind to do that. Like that made that a real gem.
Yeah, and it also goes to even further enhance the mentorship dynamic between the two. And like on and off screen. That's really cool. Like, especially when you're shadowing Jacob Batalon and the Zendaya and Tom Holland chemistry, how there's the on and off screen elements that come into the fold here. That's the beauty of improvised moments, is that a lot of the time the chemistry you form off screen can translate here on screen. You read each other.
Got his moment to shine in Spider-Man as his character Nick Fury. He even got sassy with Spider-Man, although the line wasn't even scripted. When Peter admits he's a little hesitant to join their newest plan, Fury says,
No way!
Jackson may
second
not
they
have
brought
recalled
this
whether
up.
the line was improvised, but Jake Gyllenhaal jumped in to confirm it was 100% unscripted. I'm here to attest. That was improvised.
That is a classic line.
That, again,
That is such a Sam Jackson line.
And for as much as people dog, and I mean, this doesn't just fix committee or whatever, but as much as people dog on the MCU for having a committee, I do love that this, at least for the Spider-Man world, is showing bring your personality, leave your stamp on it, and maybe we'll put those moments in the trailer.
That is one of the memed lines from Spider-Man Far From Home.
Yeah.
Bitch, please, you've been to space. Oh, what a great line, too. That's a great line.
Yeah.
And it sounds like something where writers wrote that for Sam Jackson, but to know he came up with that, you're like, oh, that sounds even more believable.
Have to.
So great.
That's wonderful.
That's great.
Despite his hesitancy with Nick Fury, Peter was all in for helping out Iron Man on his Avengers Infinity War mission. But Tony Stark wasn't having it. Or should we say Robert Downy Jr. wasn't having it. While Iron Man is having a discussion with Doctor Strange, Peter chimes in that he's backup.
I'm back up.
No, you're still away. The adults are talking.
But that was yet again another improvised line between the unscripted heroes Tom Holland and Robert Downy Jr.
What?
Spider-Man Far From Home.
What?
It's the Robert Downey pause button.
Wait a minute. I didn't even think they would have two cameras rolling.
I know.
In a situation like that, with that kind of set.
With such complex lighting and green screen considerations and all other manner of things,
Yeah, because you would have to have a shot on Tom Holland and a shot on Robert Downy Jr., that's not ridiculous to do that, but usually with sets like that for something like Infinity War, you're in that one shot at a time.
That's more hours of work to rig both of them.
It's complicated.
To rig one of them.
I mean, even if we were to do something like that, just with John and I in a room, That would be complicated, just to set up 2 cameras like that. It sounds it might just sound like 2 cameras, but when you have to factor in everything, you have to do a lot of adjustment to it.
Angles and lights. It really, like, to get more than 1 camera on an angle, it takes a lot of lighting consideration, especially on a set like that.
And it's so snappy, the way that line is, that I'm wondering how quick they made it in the edit. Like, did they do that thing where, you know, Tom Holland says his line and they have the end of his line carry on to Tony Stark's shot a little bit earlier on? You know, like right before he says the stowaway line. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
That Ryan George cut thing back and forth.
Yeah, like a little piece of overlap to sell it that much more. Well, and the other thing that's got me wondering, and I don't get the sense that any of these have been like gone back and retaken, but I know sometimes like an improv line will get thrown out, and then for the consideration of, well, that was so good, we know we probably want the option of using it. We might have to, you know, go back and kind of work it into the scene, you know, shot-wise too. So it feels like these could have easily just been edited in, but you never know.
Damn, that's impressive.
Absolutely.
I wonder if it was just that quick back and forth. Like,
Robert Downey just got gems for days.
We know Robert Downy Jr. is quick on his feet, so yeah.
Is full of European landmarks that make the entire movie stunning.
They improvised London.
A lot of them do get destroyed.
They improvised the destruction.
A lot of improvising happened in a specific landmark, the London Tower. The film's final battle takes place in London, and supposedly during this scene, the cast shot so many versions because of their ability to improvise. You'd never be able to tell in the final cut.
They join forces like the Power Rangers. You're thinking of Voltron. Voltron, you're thinking of Voltron.
Drax's line...
Well, this actually makes me realize now, too, that makes sense why John Watts probably hires so many comedians.
Yeah.
Since he allows for so much improvisation on set. Because those sound like improvised lines.
Well, now I'm wondering, like, is Captain America's little, you know, workout tape gonna pop up in here somewhere? Because now I'm thinking, who else in the MCU connected to the Spider-Man universe? Like, it seems, yeah, like improv. What I've learned from this video is that improv is part of the life's blood that's probably made these Spider-Man movies as successful as they are, because they are so lovable and endearing.
Well, that's where the humor and personality comes in. But I did remember thinking there was some criticism with Far From Home of how much of a comedy it was.
Fair, yeah.
And those lines, the thing is, out of all the lines we've heard so far, those sound like improvised lines. You know, that sounds fair. Like comedians on set making lines. I like it. I thought it was funny. I'm not part of the complaint category of that.
But it is like layperson's pop culture jokes.
It does sound like, yeah, this person got a chance to really improvise.
Yeah.
Where the other stuff was more subtle, and it feels maybe not subtle, but a little bit more lived in and within the scene itself.
Do you want better? Why is Gamora?
Is one of the funniest
heard about
highlights that came out of Avengers Infinity War, even if Spider-Man's life was literally being threatened in the scene. The line, however, was actually ad-libbed by Drax's actor, Dave Bautista. The rest of the actors, including Tom Holland, are just so professional that they rolled with it. The camera operator even seemed to be quick to react. Michael Keaton got some time to shine in Spider-Man.
Oh, of course. I didn't even think about
lines didn't make the final cut.
What?
According to Tom Holland, Keaton actually made a direct reference to his role as Batman in the 80s. His character Vulture is a little confused as to why Spider-Man would save him, and after Tom Holland delivers his "because I'm Spider-Man," Keaton supposedly responded, "but I'm Batman." We don't know if the line was part of the script, but Tom Holland seemed to be hinting it was ad-libbed. Like we meant.
Yeah, you know, no shit, that was ad-libbed.
Oh, man.
That was ad-libbed or included in the script with full knowledge it would come right back out.
Of course that wouldn't be used.
Of course it wouldn't be. Like, you could get away with Power Rangers and Voltron.
Gotta be a scene. Why isn't that scene on the internet?
Yeah.
Why isn't that deleted scene on the internet?
Because DC has worked tirelessly to keep it out of our hands.
You know, I had the impression with Michael Keaton that, like, he wanted to leave Batman behind or something like that. Batman Behind. That sounds like a
Batman
interesting pornographic.
That's his geriatric.
That he wanted to leave Batman behind. I can't get over that now. But then, you know, thinking about how he said it there, and he did that commencement speech where he ended it with "I'm Batman." Like, oh, okay. I feel like he's been wanting to. I feel like he misses that. I feel like he misses Batman. Yeah.
What I learned from watching Birdman is that probably he's a little tormented by some of the experience, but would definitely jump at the chance to go back in a big, you know, better way. So yeah, I'm not surprised at all he would have thrown that in there. I wish we could see it.
Before, Jake Gyllenhaal played the perfect Mysterio, and a lot of why his character is so epic may be because of how well he got along with Tom Holland. According to Tom, Mysterio and Spider-Man were actually meant to bump heads a lot. However, while filming, their interactions turned out to be more friendly. The directors decided to let them head off the script and build their own relationship between the characters. They basically became BFFs.
Good luck, kid. I'll give you about a 50-50 chance. You're pretty awkward, so.
We also see Spidey's actual BFF, Ned, get his own romantic interest.
Wait, I want to pause this really quick. I actually think that's a really interesting choice because they're strangers to each other in the movie. And I've heard like people doing, like actors doing that for movies where, you know, like, oh, they're supposed to have a long history of a friendship or something like that. And then if you watch to me, I just chalked it up to the fact that it's Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah,
because Jake Gyllenhaal's
that much charisma.
Well, no, if you've seen Jake Gyllenhaal interviews with his co-stars, he just looks like him and Ryan Gosling have this amazing thing where they just look like everyone loves to get along with them.
Yeah,
they love to like the interviews they do with them. They just seem like they love bonding and hanging out with them,
which is why they play such tormented people.
Yeah, right. But when I think about like the script with Far From Home, it's like, yeah, eventually he comes like closer to him and starts and Peter Parker starts getting manipulated and viewing him like a mentor. I get that. At the same time, though, they start off as strangers to each other. And normally when they have actors do that, that's when their characters are already supposed to have a history with each other. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if I heard that with Jacob and Tom Holland.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, we had them hang out with each other before we started filming. So that way they could really build in that chemistry.
Yeah.
So I actually think that's kind of interesting they did that with Mysterio and Tom Holland. I thought they might have just let that play out on screen.
Well, yeah, because it would be a significantly different dynamic. It would be a different film in a lot of ways if they had a more headbutt or a more adversarial dynamic from the get-go. And I think the betrayal is just so much worse with the relationship they built on screen. And there's, again, so many great scenes that like when I think of that movie, obviously you remember like the turn that Mysterio takes and all the chaos, but I really do love some of those scenes where they're just bonding and you're really hoping, like when I watched it again, I still hoped Mysterio might be an okay guy. And I think, you know, again, I'm kind of shocked that so much of at least the relationship dynamics in these Spider-Man movies especially have come from, you know, dynamics found in the process and then adapted from that, you know.
But according to Ned's actor, Jacob Batalon, Ned's relationship with Betty was basically developed by him and actress Angourie Rice. He says they were given a lot of space for improv. They may not have lasted super long as a couple, but there's no doubt they were adorable.
I would totally kiss you, but I think I just threw up in my mouth a little.
I might have a mint.
It seems like Jacob Batalon.
You see, that, like what we were just talking about, like that makes sense to me a lot more for that choice to be, like the choice for Jake Gyllenhaal and Tom Holland really worked. To me, it makes more sense for these two. Yeah. Because they're like, yes, they have the whole joke bit of, they sit next to each other on the plane, now they're boyfriend and girlfriend. They get off on the plane on the way back, now they're broken up. You know, like they have this joke about it. But when they are boyfriend and girlfriend, they do have a chemistry that is felt. Yeah. And so this actually does make a lot of sense to me to have them bond to this degree on and off camera. To really make that feel a little bit more believable. And not just like, you know, detached jokes, just something that's only for humor, but actually has a heart to it.
Something that reminds you that they have been like going to school together.
It's
that history you don't really have to think about, but that really helps the scene,
A lot to do with all his characters' relationships. With the chemistry between Peter and Ned, we've never doubted the way they were childhood best friends. And the chemistry between the actors off-screen is why it's so authentic. Apparently, because Tom and Jacob weren't given the script days in advance, they never knew their lines, which means their interactions are purely the two actors playing off one another.
Do you know him too?
Yeah, we met. I stole the shield.
If we needed any more proof that Tom Holland is holding his own when it comes to the rest of the Marvel cast, this video is it. Watching these actors not only play superheroes, but be superheroes when it comes to bringing to life a character is nothing short of impressive. Let us know if you have any other unscripted Spider-Man moments we should discuss. Thanks for watching The Things, fans!
That's great. You know,
Anytime.
what's funny is I think didn't I just say that it would make more sense if they would do that with Tom Holland and Jacob Batalon?
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much.
And then it ends on that note. You know, Jacob Batalon, he strikes me as the kind of guy who's, I forget which one it was, but I've never actually seen a High School Musical movie. But
you're missing out.
I remember on a behind the scenes thing, I saw like some 5-minute thing. They talked about how there was one actor on set who took it way more serious than everyone else. Like, he's one of the main characters, and he's very like in character and stuff. Takes it real serious. And I feel like with Jacob Batalon, I can imagine him being the kind of guy you're like, oh, Ned, you're the guy in the chair. You're Peter's best friend. But I can also imagine that he probably takes it very serious. You know, like he's probably one of those really methodical actors in a lot of ways.
Very dedicated.
Yeah. No, I bet he is.
He's got Ned Leeds broken down to the finest details.
I wouldn't be surprised, honestly.
I can see it.
Well, I thought this was a great list. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'm glad we could do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And personally, I like doing it in this format.
Yeah, let us
for
know.
list videos. We wouldn't do this for trailers, all right?
Stop the trailer.
Yeah, but
mid-explosion. How crazy is that explosion? It's pretty crazy.
But for these, I like checking out the list videos. Yeah. At the same time, though, I'm like, there was something about it that just felt a little off. So I actually prefer doing it in this type of format. Anyway, guys, leave your thoughts down below. Subscribe. Click that notification bell. Catch you guys soon. Oh, hit that like button.